All right, and we are live. Welcome to the BrainDrive weekly development call update live stream. Our mission here at BrainDrive is to build a superior. All right, we are live. Welcome to the
One week I'll get
BrainDrive
this right.
weekly development call update live.
All right, let's try that again. Welcome to the weekly BrainDrive development call live stream. Our mission here at BrainDrive is to build a superior user-owned alternative to big tech AI systems. I'm Dave Waring, and I handle the operations side here at BrainDrive.
And I'm David Jones, and I handle the technical side here at BrainDrive.
BrainDrive is our MIT licensed open source, locally running AI platform built around helping you define and reach your goals. So we have, when you log into your BrainDrive, it runs locally on your computer via Docker. And we have these different pages as well as the ability to start a new project. And this is all built around our interview, spec, and build plan process. So when you come into your BrainDrive, you can kick off, hey, I want to get started on my fitness. As you can see here, it kicks off an interview process. And the goal of this interview is to create a spec document, which will show up here in your sidebar, and then a plan on how you can execute that. So your spec defines what success looks like for you, and then your build plan is what do we need to do to reach that success, which in this case would be to be more fit. So BrainDrive is really designed to get people over this blank canvas problem that people have with ChatGPT and Claude of not knowing where to start and to really kick off a partnership with your AI that really helps you succeed. And because you own everything with your BrainDrive, make sure that success compounds for you instead of a big tech company. And this platform, if you're a developer, is built on the personal AI architecture, which is our also MIT licensed open source blueprint for building personal AI systems in a way that you can avoid lock-in to a big tech AI platform, as well as avoid lock-in to any component of the system itself. So this allows you to evolve your AI system at the speed of AI. You can build on top of the personal AI architecture at the personalaiarchitecture.org and the associated GitHub. You can build your own AI system on top of that, or also you can see the architecture that BrainDrive is built on if you want to contribute to this project, which is our first implementation of that architecture. So with that, I'll hand it over to Dave to update us on development progress from last week.
Okay, let's go ahead and quickly share. Why not? So we can get to the change log. That should be it right there. Okay, the first thing, we didn't get everything we accomplished last week. We wanted to work on the update sequence, and that didn't quite go like how we had planned. I think I developed something very over technical that would have got a lot of people lost and would have probably eventually just hurt the system. So we backtracked just a little bit on that, and that will come this week now that we have ironed out what we want to accomplish. So getting now to what we did accomplish. First thing, change log. That is completely automated now. Sends Dave an email as soon as I lock down what the build is for this week. He gets to see the change log. I get a copy of it, so I know if something's going right or wrong. Pretty happy with that. It's the little things like that. Anybody knows it kind of sucks up a lot of time, and we're kind of smoothing that out with some agentic behavior behind the scenes. So going forward, let's see. I believe this was, yep, Dave went through and updated documentation, people contributing, and things of that nature. We had a series of changes. I probably should write notes when I do this better because I have the AI's version of what I did from the PR. Let's see. The weekly changelog entry was updated to reflect the latest ship working version. This is coming into here. When the automation takes place, it gets the actual version. So we're both lockstep. Because if you see our PRs right now, we have one that's kind of drafted, and we want to make sure that in the change log, we do not kind of take them into account, and we only take the things that we are working on or have worked on. We had some dependency things that we cleaned up throughout this week, both this morning and the week, so we're up to date. This is very critical, important with all the security issues popping up lately. We want to make sure we stay in tune and not fall far behind. any of these libraries, because that can get quite daunting if you read any article today. Let's see. Yep, that was the client web, the dependencies. We cleaned that up last week. Let's see, phase 2 roadmap statuses. That was Dave updating the status and where we are on certain things and what we've completed, what's in testing. Let's see, entry refresh, including the most current version updates. Me still working and ironing things out. Let's see, updated the MCP release test tool to a newer version. Yep, that's still cleaning up. Cleaning up on that update. Cleaning up on this update, and yeah, same thing here. So a lot of the changes on the change section were just us going through and nailing down dependencies and security issues, and then going through the due diligence of testing that. Um, Now we have, let's see, go into the real fun preferences. Now ignore cleanup unknown settings. That was where if, let's say you were on a version, it had some data in there in your preferences, and if you had to go back for a reason, let's say we made a mistake, your data inside your memory, if you had something extra, wouldn't cause an issue. It'll just simply look at it and go, okay, I don't need to use that, and keep moving right along, just if nothing happened. We have some more dependency bots updates. That was all at the end of last year. Let's see, we have the billing. We use Stripe. Um, we need to we needed to clean up some things in there. That was mostly a nav show right there, ironing down between the billing of the client, some security concerns we found there. We wanted to clean them up ahead before anybody touches but us. And then on the back end as well. So we stay in lockstep between the managed hosting and here. Let's see, and then manage client purchase routes. Yep, same thing with that dependencies. Um, Not really dependencies, sorry, but with the security concerns from when Nav and I were working. And then we improved the installer reliability. That was Dave over the weekend working. We really don't do much other than work on this, I think, as it comes down. And then let's see. Well, we got rid of Quick Start this week. It is completely gone, and we moved from a dev version, which uses a Docker image, and then the cloned repo, and then the local and the production versions are complete pre-built images by us. And that really just if you're a developer or you're technical, go with the dev. You can do more with it. And then if you just want it to work with no hassles, no nothing, go with the local or the production build. There's no difference other than the production is what we use on the managed hosting side of things, but they both are based on the same image, and it just works. You don't have to worry about some file or anything like that. And your memory is persistent. It still stays on your hard drive, not within Docker. So you have the same security. You just don't have the technical debt whatsoever included in that. And that is basically what we did last week. We did a lot of cleaning up and locking things down. The one thing that we were going to do new, we opted to not follow through and just clean that up and get a better spec on that this week.
Okay, and also you did some work on the personal AI
Oh,
architecture repo as well, correct?
yep, I forgot all about that. Well, I had it up in front. We wanted to make a change here. We had code that sat in here that was from when you were initially working on the actual spec documents themselves. And with Claude's help, he designed some code, but it really didn't serve any purpose, especially where we were now, where we want a developer to be able to see this and very quickly using developers tech, of course. So it's not for a non-tech person. They could, within 5 minutes, have it up and running, be able to test it, see that it works from start to finish, have a testing suite that would allow them to easily go in and go, hey, I want to change this. And there's a test that they can run. I believe it is covered even. Oh, nope, I probably have it covered in the other one. Let's go. We'll just zip over there really quick. It is in a different repo. So that way you have the documents on one side, the code on the other side. And then you can accept you have acceptance tests and stuff like that that you can run. So as you make changes, you can instantly see, are you still following the architecture itself? And it determines that where your objects are and the communication packets between the two, and where do you have your intelligence living, and those kind of simple, quick checks just to keep you honest as you're moving through.
Great. All right, so let's a new developer coming in is curious about the personal AI architecture.
Yep.
What,
What
where would
happens?
you, what's
Well,
the, what do we think is the journey that they're going to go on?
9 times out of 10, they'll get to this, our first get our front GitHub for the documentation like that. And depending upon the developer, we can meet both ways. You'll have the ones that love to read. That'll probably be, in my opinion, 1 out of 10, pure as just developers. They'll go, oh my God, I don't want to read all this stuff. And they'll be like, okay, so let's go here. And this is where it takes you straight to the template. This is, you can download, you can clone it, you can do anything you want with it. I am going to make this an actual template so that when you download it, you can put your own name into it and it would become your project from right then and there. I just need to do some cleanup and some testing on that one. Um, and they would be able to instantly download the code, do an npm install. So they have all the dependencies handled and run it. And very simply within 5 minutes, and I'm talking 5 minutes, if you wanted to take 3, go get coffee, you'd have this up and running. And when I developed it and when I gave it to Codex to follow it, put it together for me, that's all it took really quick. 60 seconds, I could test it.
Okay, and
So,
what are they gonna, so they're gonna say, hey, I'm interested
yep,
in this architecture. Let me
I would.
clone the, like what? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. They could load this very easily up into VS Code, which almost anybody these days uses that. You can go the scripts and the source and everything like that is it's very tight in how it's been developed. So you know if you want to check out the adapters, you go straight to the adapters. You can see this clear separation of where the mock data is versus you can actually start putting in your real data of however you wanted to develop this, but this allows the developer in a very orchestrated method to go through, see what sections they're looking in, follow along with the spec itself as they're reading it, so both work together. And whatever section they want to invest in, they could actually go through and see the code behind the English as they're working with it. And this would allow most developers like me. I don't read. I really don't. If I see something, I want to play with it first. And so I can load this up. I can do what I tell everybody to do in these moments, change something, rebuild it, and see your change. And then in the difference of a normal project in this allows you to change things and then run a compatibility test to determine if you're still following the architecture.
Got it. Okay, cool. Anything else that you want to say on that?
On that particular, no, doing pretty good. I want to see other examples like we talked about. Eventually, that's not gonna be a priority, but I'd love to see the architecture in other languages so that people can see this isn't us telling you you have to do TypeScript. This is us telling you, hey, this is a principle of how it works, and you can apply it any way you want. And we have adopted TypeScript simply because it's probably one of the most powerful, popular right now. Play with it. Anybody can look at it, and any agent or LLM, AI, doesn't matter which one, can easily look at TypeScript and go, I got this.
Okay, and before we post again in the local AI forums,
Mhm.
is there anything that needs to be done, like making it a template or any of that
Making it
stuff?
template. That's the only thing I didn't quite get ironed out. And that will I'll have done this morning.
Okay. All right, great. Anything else from last week that you want to update on before we talk about the coming week?
One thing, because we've talked about this, but I played with it over the weekend, and I think goes into the era that we're in. You've talked about this many times, the era where the software and the code is so cheap, and it's really redefined what can be done with AI and stuff like that. You find a project you like. Previously, if you found a project you like, there's always be these 4 things that were there that you don't like. And in order to change them, you would have to be a developer. But if you weren't a developer, you're stuck. And that's how everybody was always stuck with whatever somebody else wanted to play with. But I found a project I liked. And I'm always trying to develop AI agents for coding because that's where we're going to head. We know we want to implement it in so many ways. My version I've been working on has always had a few issues. Like every time I ran it, I'd find one more thing. It was like, ah, you're not quite right there. So I had to fix it, and then it would run. This weekend, I found a project that somebody had, but it's in Claude. And nothing against Claude or Anthropic. I'm just not a fan. I can code. I want an agent to code for me. I'm just lazy. I want to read it type stuff. So am I sharing still? No, I'm not. So we will go back to where I was. TS architecture. There we go. And some guy developed an MIT project. It's called the Dev Squad. Um, they are still working because I gave them a test a little bit ago. Um, and what it is this is a visual of 5 agents working together to complete a coding project. And this is an agentic software where I gave it a create a small React application as a test. Now I gave it a few others this weekend just to run it through. But like I said, it was in Codex. That would normally be an instant stop for me because or no, sorry, it was in Claude. That's an instant stop for me because I use Codex. So the first thing I did is I took apart the entire back end, the provider. I created a provider layer so I can change them later. And then I made it work for Codex. Like I said, and these two projects would be stop. I would be like, no, I don't want to do that. Because I want something for me and what I do. And so instead, we live in an era with AI. You can see a project that's close and make it your own. And this isn't about the dev squad, but this is more about where we are with code and BrainDrive, because we want people to see it and go, I like what you guys are doing, but my life's different. I don't want to worry about fitness. I'm okay eating a Twinkie every day. Whichever, hey, however they want to go with it. It's like, I'm forever single. Don't need relationship help. So you want your own projects. And we want you to see BrainDrive and the fact of with a little help from AI, your technical skills won't matter. If you just tell it what you wanted to do, there's an AI agent that can just take care of it for you, make it yours. And instead of following the cookie cutter method, you now have something adopted for you and being able to manage and help you with your life. So that was my little fun project for the weekend of pushing an idea that we've had forward and kind of testing out what even users are going to do.
Cool. All right. So yeah, that's coming in the roadmap, right?
Yep,
We
yep.
want to be able to start working on that in the future, but really important to get what we have currently working
Yep.
first,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. No,
Yep.
no, yeah, exactly. No, they're not. There's nowhere these are colliding
Yeah.
anywhere near soon. This was like, hey, a weekend. I'm talking with my wife. I'm running around doing stuff in the house, and I simply let the AI run. It's
Yeah.
like I just check back in my office and look and go, okay, you're still going good.
Cool. All right. So, and hopefully not too long, right? We will
Yeah.
be able to work on that.
Yeah.
All right. So, from my side, we're all up and running with our email drips around the course.
Hmm.
For anyone who's watching, if you're a developer, you probably don't need this, but we're really trying to make this as easy as possible for everyone. Excuse me. And we have a 5 lesson course that takes you from zero to AI hero in less than 30 minutes. So we have the course now. We have an email drip for so when people go to the website of the community, they can get this as an ebook, which also directs them to the forum. When they sign up for the forum, you get a welcome series of emails that come in for that as well. So we can really start to build a following
Yep.
around this. And this is kind of the foundation for everything that we want to do via marketing. I haven't started video yet because I want to make sure we have everything nailed down, but I did experiment with a little X thread and these images, like it works really well as, I was able to basically summarize the course in like an 8 or 10 tweet thread with the images. And I thought that looked
Yeah.
pretty good and gives us opportunity to, take the same piece of content and leverage it in multiple different places. I also published that on my blog, and I did get some friends basically to try out BrainDrive. And, there's things to discuss on that. They're kind of outside of the scope of this call, but that's kind of what I was working on for last week.
Yep.
And then let's go to the roadmap here.
Yeah, I seen the PR. That was based on one of your friends, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have our roadmap here. And so we're building this in 5 phases. The first phase, which was the personal AI architecture and our implementation of that, BrainDrive, it's an AI system. You can own it and run it. So that's done.
Yep.
Now we're in the benefit, turning it into from a AI you own into a partner you rely on. And our goal here is that you'd rather use BrainDrive than any big tech
Yep.
alternative because we've done such a good job in helping you build and curate your personal context and to really use AI and partner with an AI that's very beneficial to you, where these others kind of give you just a blank canvas, which is hard to get started with. Um, so that's everything that we've done on that. And now we have left managed hosting, version history, which is still in testing, our working sessions, which are still in
Yeah.
testing. So all the progress we have now, the interview spec and build, and we're moving into what happens beyond that.
Mhm.
So we are sort of rounding third in these areas, and I think for this week, um, we really need to dial in on what we already have
Mhm.
and making sure that's all working
Yep.
before we start moving on to new things. And that was kind of like what my basically the good news is once they got to the a working system, they
Yep.
liked it, but pretty much every step along the way broke for
Oh.
me, which was a little disappointing. But so I think before we move beyond where we are right now,
Yep.
we've got some cleanup to do to make sure that it's all working.
Okay.
So that's what I think we should focus on this week, unless you
Nope, nope,
have
nope,
other
nope.
thoughts.
I'm always because if it makes no sense for us to move forward if we have areas that we need to clean up so that up to this point everything just runs smoothly. And hey, as with anything when it gets installed the first time on something like that, we're gonna
Yeah.
have some, and we've always talked about that. So hey, let's
Yeah.
clean them up and get it done good, so we can get moving.
Yeah, and I think one of the ways that we're really trying to differentiate ourselves here at Brain Drive is to make this really simple.
Yep.
And that's in contrast to a lot of the other platforms like OpenClaw, for example, where, yeah, sure, you can do anything, but like, does any one part of that work like super, super well? And for the average person, they're not really benefiting from the power of AI at all. So, really getting this interview spec, build, execute,
Hmm.
flywheel spinning for that person and keeping it really focused on that number one is going to make that experience so much better,
Yep.
even though people are going to come and say, well, it can't do this, it can't do that, it can't, but we're like, does it do this really well,
Yep.
because we're constraining ourselves to that. But on the flip side, like, that has to really work, right?
Yes.
And it has to be very polished and it has to work every time. If there's bugs and that type of stuff as we go along, we're not really like, okay, then it's like we don't have all the advanced functionality and the thing that we're focused on
Yep.
doesn't really work that well. So I think it's really important that it works like really well. And I also think with a lot of these AI coding tools, it's so easy to get things like 95% of the way there
Yep.
that it's easy to leave that last 5% out. But that's where all the work in the differentiation is.
The grind.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's kind of this week.
Yep.
Unless there's anything else that you want to talk about, I think we can wrap here.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. So as we talked about at the beginning of the call, our mission here at Brain Drive is to build a superior user-owned alternative to big tech AI systems. We do these calls every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern, live streamed on YouTube. And then the recordings are posted over in the forums at community.braindrive.ai. So you're welcome to participate here live in these calls or also